A pleasant Tuesday evening greetings to all. Gabriel Lopez here, homegrown, and happy to bring you PTV News Now, kicking off our stories for tonight. His two privileged speeches in the Senate exposed the magnitude of the conspiracy to plunder government coffers via shittily built and phantom flood mitigation structures. The proceedings of his Senate Blue Ribbon Chair hearings sparked public outrage against the usual suspects and pushed the urgent need for serious reforms in the budget creation process to shield it from any more rip-off attempts. But then he stepped down from his post on the first Monday of this month, much to the chagrin of his colleagues and the public at large. Now word has it the Senate President Pro Tempore, Panfilo Lacson, has almost made up his mind to reacquire his old post and finish the job he began. Senate President Vicente Sotto III, in a TV news interview, said Lacson is nearly 100% certain to reclaim his old post, resume the probe, and see it to the end, with all the objectives in his boxes checked out. Sotto said Lacson most likely had an epiphany after constant probing from his allies in the majority and relentless public clamor. Were it not for his change of heart and likely unsatisfactory ending to the committee probe on the flood control mess, Lacson's legacy as a disciple of good governance and vanguard against corruption will be tainted, and history will see him more as a quitter who did not have the guts to finish what he started. A criminal complaint against businessman Charlie Atong and others regarding the missing sabungeros has been submitted for resolution, according to the Department of Justice. DOJ spokesperson Rafael Martinez confirmed that the panel of prosecutors will decide whether there is enough evidence to file the case in court. Senior Assistant State Prosecutor Charlie Guhit reported that 56 respondents filed counter affidavits and the panel is now reviewing the case. If the case is dismissed, the complainants could refile with additional evidence. Ang's counsel has requested the case be sent back to the police for further investigation, but the panel will ultimately decide whether to dismiss or forward the case to court. Whistleblower Julie Dondon Patidongan expressed hope for justice, believing the mastermind behind the disappearances is known, while his lawyer reaffirmed their trust in the DOJ's integrity. At the onset of the pandemic in the spring of 2021, the South African government, after relentless barrage from conservationists and animal rights advocates, committed to shut down lion breeding farms all over the country. 3.5 years later, with still no action taken, the government announced its shutdown decision was set in stone, but had yet to follow through on its promise, even after the Department of Forestry, Fisheries and Wildlife declared a prohibition notice to effect the outright ban. This 2024 VOA feature dwells on South Africa's tarnished reputation as a result of canned hunting, bone selling, and inhumane treatment of the kings of the jungle.
These lions were bred for the bullet. Their destiny was to be killed by trophy hunters who pay thousands of dollars to take part in hunts where the animal has zero prospect of escape.
A lion will be feeding, minding its own business, not aware that it will be killed on that day. They will use meat to lure it closer, and then someone will just take a gun and shoot it and then pose for social media.
The lions at the sanctuary are some of the lucky ones. They were moved from a captive breeding facility.
They've been living the most comfortable life. As you know, everything comes with a silver platter to them.
South Africa has the biggest population of captive-bred lions in the world, some 8,000 according to the government, though NGOs put the figure higher, almost 3 times the number found in the wild. Fiona Miles is the director of Lions Rock and Four Paws South Africa, an animal welfare NGO. She says the captive lion breeding industry is a vicious cycle.
The lions are intensively bred, almost in a factory farming way. So lionesses are forced to breed. The cubs are taken away from them as soon as possible after birth. Those cubs are then used for interactions with paying guests or paying visitors.
Later, they are often used in so-called canned hunting. And there is also a whole industry around lion bones, which are used in traditional Chinese medicine, though South Africa hasn't allowed their export since 2019. A 2015 documentary called Blood Lions drew international outrage when it showed the cramped and filthy conditions in which some of the animals were kept. The reputational damage prompted South Africa's government to investigate shutting down the industry and set up a ministerial task team to provide recommendations. In March, the cabinet announced it was phasing out captive lion breeding. This will be done over an estimated 2-year period, allowing lion breeders of the 342 facilities across the country to voluntarily exit the industry, with rules in place in the interim.
One is a moratorium on new facilities, the other is a moratorium on breeding. We will have a reduction in the number of lions progressively. To close down an industry requires a long legislative process that has to go to 2 houses of parliament and has to have tremendous amount of consultation.
Lion breeders must sterilize their animals and can reduce the number of big cats during that time through hunting or euthanasia. Stockpiles of lion bones will be burned to prevent their sale.
The government saw that there was a huge risk to our reputation as a conservation country. 4 Paws is calling for a very clear, time-bound plan, one that gives very clear milestones of how the voluntary phase-out is going to look like, so that an absolute ban can be put into place afterwards.
At the end of the 2 years, the remaining lions will be moved to sanctuaries like this one, where they will get a new lease on life. Kate Bartlett, VOA News in the Free State, South Africa.
So that's all she wrote for tonight's show. Join us anew tomorrow evening for another set of feature reports and major stories breaking here and elsewhere. This is Gabrielle Lopez wishing you all a restful night ahead, and thank you for watching PTV News Now.